Welcome back to A Plus Parents, everyone. And I have one of our students with us today. I'm super excited for you to meet her. I met her because we have every February, we do something called Student Appreciation Month, and students send us videos about what they like about our programs. And Mia, and I'm saying Mia's last name, Mia Holstien, is with us today. She's 13, she's in the 8th grade. And she sent us a video, but she sent us a video with her horse, Vinny. So I'm going to have her tell you about her horse, Vinny, because Vinny is a 22-year-old horse, which I didn't know horses could, got that old. But not only is Vinny 22 years old, but Vinny and Mia compete together in something called eventing. So she is a true equestrian, and she's actually interested in training to be in the Olympics where they have the eventing contest. I'm not ever tell you what that is because she says it's kind of like triathlon, but you're doing it with horses. So super cool. And, when you think about the idea of being homeschooled, probably takes up a lot of her time, which I'm sure she's going to share with us, which is why being homeschooled is great. So she's in the great state of Texas. So way to go, Mia. And and because you do competitions, one of the things you shared about in your video was that you and Vinny can do your math anywhere, right? And so when you travel and doing competitions, you can take your math with you, and hopefully you can do all your homeschool stuff that way. So super cool. She's been homeschooled since kindergarten, and here she is finishing her last year of middle school, getting ready for high school, finishing our Algebra 1 course. So super excited. So first of all, Mia, welcome to the podcast. We're glad to have you here.
Thank you.
Yeah, okay. So, you've been homeschooling like this whole time, right? So why did you start homeschooling? Did it have a lot to do with Vinny and horses and all of that?
So, when I started homeschooling, I was not quite into horses yet. So, I went to kindergarten and I finished about half kindergarten before we started homeschooling. And at that point, we were fostering children in our home. So, we had about four other kids in our home, minus my brother. And at that point, there was just my mom didn't have enough time. So, she pulled me out of private school and started homeschooling all six of us.
Wow. Oh my gosh. Okay, wait. So she didn't have enough time. So she just brought you home, which would give her more time, right? But how old were all the kids? Were you like the youngest, the oldest, and with all the foster kids?
So I was the oldest, and there were two twins, and my brother were all around the same age, in between 14 months. And then
Wow.
there was a toddler and kind of another kid. I think he was not, neither of them were quite in school yet, maybe preschool.
Uh-huh.
But my mom, once she pulled me out of private school, realized how much of a waste of time that was because I was able to finish my school within 2 hours. So she realized, why was I going to school for 8 hours when I could be at home and do it in 2 hours?
Right, right. I actually did a kind of like I looked at the numbers, being a numbers guy, right? So I looked at the numbers one time, and you know what I figured out is that when you go to school, like if you go to a regular school, private school, or public school, that the amount of time you're actually working on your coursework and working on your classes is about 2.5 hours a day. Because
Oh,
once you're
that's it.
there, you're changing classes, you're going to lunch, you go outside for recess, you got to take the bus there, take the bus home, or have someone pick you up. And, by the time you go through that whole thing and you think about when your class started and it takes a few minutes to get everybody settled down, and then you pack up all your stuff a few minutes before so you can go to your next class. When you take all of that away, it's about the same amount of time you were doing by just doing things at home. So good for you. Good for your mom to figure that out too. So that's exciting. When you first came home, I don't know if you remember, because being in kindergarten, that's a long time ago for you, but do you remember, were you excited? Were you nervous? Like, did that make you happy, or did you feel like you were going to miss out by not being in school?
I wasn't, I don't quite remember that long ago. I don't know. I was, she pulled me out of school when I was around six. So
Okay. Yeah.
I didn't probably
So
know much different.
yeah, I understand. My son, probably if we asked him now, he's 19 now, so he's graduated, but we pulled him out in third grade, right? And
Okay.
in third grade, we told him he was going to come home and homeschool. You know what happened? He cried. He's no, I don't want to be homeschooled, right? And we brought him home. And then at the end of third grade, we said to him, we said, okay, now you're gonna, now you finished fourth grade, you're gonna be a fifth grader. And do you want to go back to school? And he cried again. He goes, no, no, I want to be homeschooled. So it was kind of funny. So he cried both times, but he stayed in
Oh,
homeschool. Yeah, so he's been homeschooled his whole time. And, and then he's kind of like you, like you're into something super cool where you're working with horses and as an eventing competitor. And then he's a dancer. So super cool.
okay.
I think that's really something awesome about homeschooling is that it gives you time to do the things that you really love. So,
It does.
you can see that you started homeschooling, you were 6 years old, halfway through kindergarten, home you came. Now you've been doing it. So, we would say now as an eighth grader, you're like a seasoned veteran, right? When it comes to homeschooling. So, what's your favorite part about homeschooling?
Probably the flexibility and just the time and maybe even just less drama of having to deal with all the people at school.
Yeah, that's probably true. That's awesome. So now who's at home with you now? So your brother, who I got to meet right before we got started today. And do you guys still have foster kids or what else do you do there?
We do not anymore. We don't have foster kids, but my mom and my dad and me and my brother.
Wow. Well, and then you're often traveling and going to the show. So I can imagine that, that takes some time as well. So, okay. So and we're going to talk more about what eventing is, because I know people are like, well, what is that? And what do you do? And all that. But, given that you're so busy doing it, do you have any other kind of hobbies or sports that you play or interest?
I don't really have much time for anything else,
That's
really.
it. Okay. Then walk us through a day of what it's like. Let's first tell us about what eventing is, like a triathlon, like what actually happens when you compete. Because once we find out what you compete, then I'm really interested in what you do to train and you and Vinny. So what's it like? If we were going to see you at a contest, what would it look like?
So a show is usually 3 days long, and we get there, haul up, and get there on Friday, and just school the horses at the place we'll be riding the next day. And then on the next day, our show consists of dressage and stadium jumping. And dressage is pretty much just dancing with horses with us on them. And then stadium is jumping over poles, pretty
Ah,
much.
okay, very cool. That's okay, so in your video that you made for us, it looked like there was like three beams. Is that
Yes.
normal? Okay, and
Yes,
so
sir.
wow, that's awesome. So, okay, so now here you are, and you've
And
got,
then
yeah, is
there's
there
one more
more
day.
too? There's one more day? Oh my gosh, well,
So
there'd be three
that
things. So
that's
dressage,
usually on
jumping,
Saturday.
okay, yeah.
And then the next day is cross country, and that is jumping over hurdles that don't fall down. So it could be a log, it could be a house made of wooden panels. There's a bunch of different creative stuff they come up with, water, ditches.
That's amazing. So when you do that, are you in like the same setting and they just set up the different things or do you have to go somewhere different?
So stadium is in a ring, and cross country is in an open field.
Wow. And then they just have those things set up. So that's cool.
Yes,
Now,
sir.
have you ever had some times where you guys didn't make the jump?
Oh yes, yes, multiple times. He doesn't want to do it, and he stops.
Oh, and he just
And then
stops. He goes, Mia, we're not going
and
to do this today, right?
or that's him telling me you're doing something wrong. Go try that again.
Oh,
He's
okay.
very much he's very much a teacher and will tell me if I'm doing something wrong.
Wow, that's awesome. So if he says he's not going to do something, he's letting you know that there's something that you're not doing to help him so that he can do it.
Right. Or he's just scared of the jump. Because the
Yeah.
jumps can't be quite scary
Well,
on cross country.
if it was you and I and we were doing this, you and I would be stopping at every single jump because I'd be too scared. So that's funny. Okay. Well, all right. So dressage. Tell me about dressage because I've heard of that and I think I know what it is, but there's probably some people that don't know. So what's dressage?
So dressage, there's no hurdles. It's just an arena. And you're pretty much just doing fancy movements in an arena for a score. And that's your base score for the entire competition. So if
Wow.
you get
Okay,
a bad
cool.
score, you're going to place low in the competition. And if you get a good score, you're going to place high.
That's awesome. What's a fancy move? What would be an example of a
Um,
fancy move?
let's see. Like it's all about geometry, but there's something called extended trot, and it's where they extend their front foot to where it's straight while they're moving still.
I've
Is
seen
it?
that. Okay, I know what you're, okay, great. Well, isn't that great? You're getting ready to start geometry. Very good. That's awesome. You kind of see some of the stuff you do. That's cool. Okay, so what do you guys do to train? Like, like to do all the, because there's three different events that you're doing, right?
So,
And Vinny's gonna talk to you about what's working and not working. So how do you guys train? What's a normal day like?
so there's different events. So obviously there's three events, but we can only train about 1 hour per day because he's just like you and me. It's like you can't go run a whole marathon every single day.
Right?
So I most of the time, so about 5 days a week, we do dressage. And then about once a week, we do stadium. We don't have a cross country field where we are, so we have to haul places to go ride cross country.
Wow. Okay. How often do you get to do that?
Probably about once a month, we haul up to Dallas to go train. So about 4 hours.
Oh my gosh. So you got a 4 hour drive. How does Vinny do in the trailer? Is he comfortable in there or does he
He's a
not like
trooper.
it?
He just
Yeah.
eats hay the whole time
Day the whole time. Oh my gosh.
or
Okay.
naps.
He's 22. Okay, so if he's napping though, the horses they stand up when they sleep, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
They can lay down, but in the trailer, he'll just stand up and sleep.
Yeah, man, I wish I could do that and be like, just take a
Me
nap
too.
and be standing up. Nobody would know, right? Okay, so Vinny's 22 years old, right?
Yes, sir.
What is, for you, like, how much longer do you think you guys can work together for Vinny being as old as he?
So So I think we'll have 1 more year together before he can. So he's probably maxed out at the level I am at. So to get to the next level, I'll probably have to get a new horse.
Okay. So you're gonna like the next new horse is gonna be able to kind of take you to the
A
next
little
level as
higher.
well. So, gotcha. Now, what are you gonna? Does Vinny get to stay with you guys?
We'll have to see. I'm not sure. We might lease him out, which will mean somebody else technically has him and is using him as their competition horse, but I will still own him.
Okay. Oh, very cool.
So, or we'll have to sell him,
Okay.
unfortunately.
But you're gonna get visitor rights, so you can go and see him and say, hey, right?
We can, yes, we can go see him if we want to.
Oh, that's good. Very good. And how long have you and Vinny been working together?
Since 2022, so 2.5 years.
Wow. Okay, good. When did you get started in all this? How long have you been doing this?
I have been doing this since I was around 7. So I started classes when I was around 7 years old. And I probably started taking dressage when I was around 9. And I moved into eventing when I was around 10 with my
Wow.
first little pony.
Oh my goodness. And here you are, and you're 13 and you're thinking Olympics and you've got Vinny and now Vinny's got you ready for the next level of doing
Yes,
eventing.
sir.
So that is super cool. That's super cool. Okay, now you have a younger brother, right? And so I
Yes,
met
sir.
him right before. He's into cars and things like that. How is he with you doing the things you do? Does he travel with you guys or how does
Um,
it?
so he's in competitive soccer as well. So some tournaments he has on the weekends and soccer games. So most of the time it's just me and my mom going to shows, and my dad and him stay here for soccer.
Wow, okay. Does his team, do they travel at all? Do they in
Sometimes I don't
okay.
believe they've traveled much out of state, but I think they have a couple times.
Within, okay, that's super cool. Wow, Mia, that's awesome. Okay, well, if it's okay with you, because I have to tell you, I learned a lot today. I never heard of eventing. So I've heard of dressage and a little bit of like barrel racing. I know what that is, right?
Yeah.
But I never knew what eventing was and all the things that you go through and how you train and all those good things. Knowing that, you're kind of on the way and on the path and wanting to go to the Olympics and you're going to be getting another horse to kind of start that training. Would it be okay with you if we come back and do this again? We could follow up and see how it's going for you.
Of course.
That would be awesome. That would be super awesome. All right. Well, everyone, thank you for tuning in today. And Mia, thank you for taking time out of your busy day to be here and talk with me and tell us about what you're up to in your life and how homeschooling is making a difference for you. And thanks for being a Mr. D Math student. We appreciate you.
You.
All right, everybody. Well, thanks for tuning in to A Plus Parents, and we'll see you next time. Bye, everyone.